Hello. It is Winning Wednesday. Sorry, I am a few minutes behind. I apologize. Let me just make sure that you guys can see me and hear me loud and clearly. I'm actually just on YouTube tonight. My Facebook, I'm restricted for 30 days from going live inside of my community. That's crazy, right? And so I have to only go live on YouTube. So let me find this recording and let me share it right quick um on to into the community. Hold on one second, y'all. So y'all come on in the room. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. If you guys are watching live, put live in the comments. Let me know the city and the state that you guys are tuning in from. Okay, perfect. Let me see if I can share this. All right, y'all. So let's see. I am loud. I mean, I'm not loud, but I am live, loud and clear. So, y'all, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Super excited to be here on today. I'm super excited to, let me see if I can share this also to my personal Facebook. Let's see. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to see if I was live as well. There I go. So I'm live as well on Facebook. So y'all come on in the room. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Let me know the city and the state that you guys are tuning in from. I'm always super excited to share with you guys whenever I come live, whether it's in the community, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on my personal Facebook. Y'all come on in the room. So on tonight is Winning Wednesday, like all Wednesdays, right? Where I come to motivate and inspire. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. So this is my official podcast channel where we share information when it comes to healing, right? So the podcast is actually going to go back into effect probably in the beginning of the year or maybe towards the end of the year. But right now, I'm doing more motivating and inspiring on this channel because I want people to build their faith up, right? We're in a time where we really, really need faith. And so that's what this Wednesday live is all about, helping to encourage and inspire others, right? So that they can stand on faith and so that they can create that faith life like faith, oh Jesus, that faith walk, right? It's being a lady of faith over fear. And so that's what today is all about. And so before I get started, the sponsor of the show for tonight is, of course, our amazing weight loss products. So we're using the TKO Skinny Drop TKO package. And so that consists of Boom and Boom, right? The Slenderize and the Slenderex, which are our skinny drops. It also consists of our Rejuvenex, which is our focus and energy pill, but also helps to suppress the appetite even more. Also, our detox. And then, of course, it also includes our noni juice, right? And so, noni is going to help you guys with boosting your immune system. We need our immune system boosted right now, right? It's also going to help you with your overall health. If you have any ailments that you deal with, right? Whether it's BP or the word that starts with the letter D, right? Because I can only say so many words when it comes to medical things. There's no medical claims at all, but these products really help you on your health and wellness journey. Hey, my sister Serena, thank you so much for joining. These products help you on your health and wellness journey. I have personally lost 20 pounds in 45 days on these products. I am still using the products. The products has helped me with the noni has helped me with joint pain, inflammation, all kind of stuff, y'all. So those are the products that are sponsored on tonight. And so on tonight, you guys, I am excited because I'm gonna talk about one of the stories. Thank you so much, my sister. I'm gonna talk about one of the stories in the Bible that's like a big story, right? That a lot of people have heard of, the story of Joseph. Okay. And so with Joseph, most people are familiar with that story. For me, I've heard the story many, many times, but when I read the story in the Bible, um, no, it wasn't last week, a couple of days ago, I was like, I didn't, right? I did not realize the extent of what all happened in the story of Joseph, right? And so if you are in the community, you know that we are doing the 52 week, the Bible in 52 weeks, right? And so we're doing a Bible study. So we're taking time to actually read the Bible. And with this Bible study, it gives you like prompts to read 15 minutes a day. Um, out of the Bible, right? And so we are just leaving out of the book of Genesis, going into the book of Exodus. And so the story about Joseph, it starts in Genesis chapter number 37, and it goes all the way to about chapter 50. And before I talk about the story, let me stop being rude. I don't think I really even introduced myself, right? So my name is Cheryl Mazik, you guys. I am the CEO and creator of Ladies of Faith Over Fear. Ladies of Faith Over Fear is a community of sisterhood, a ministry that helps women to overcome their fears when it comes to healing and just evolving, right? And have faith. I help them to overcome those fears and do the actual healing work. A lot of times we go through different traumas, whether it's childhood trauma, trauma from our adulthood, and never take the time to heal from those things. We just go through something, boom, bam, boom, that's over. We go to the next thing, more trauma happen, and it's packed on top of each other, and we never do the healing work. I actually walk through the steps with you guys on how to heal. And so we do that through workbooks, online courses, retreats, and conferences. What we call it our experiences, right? And so we do it that way. But that's who we are. That's what we do. We also have an amazing free community where good afternoon, Cree. We have an amazing free community where the women, right, myself and the leadership team that God has blessed me with, we have a community where we pour back into the women, right? We pour back into women because a lot of times us as women, we're constantly giving and giving and giving to other people, and we are depleted, right? And we don't have anybody pouring back into us. It gives us a place to come and get that good stuff, right? To pour back into our mental, to pour back into our spiritual, to pour back into us if we're depleted in our business. And it's absolutely free, right? So if you would love to be in a place with positive women that love Jesus, right? Then make sure you join the community. It's somewhere on the link, whether it's above the video or below the video. Join the community, right? So that's who we are. That's what we do. Let's get into the word for today, right? And so we're coming out of Genesis chapter 37 through 50. And so it starts off with Joseph. And so Joseph, his dad was, oh my goodness, oh Lord, his dad was Jacob, right? And so Jacob is the son of, oh my goodness, Jacob. Jacob is a descendant of Abraham. Let's put it that way. I don't want to go through all the descendants of who is who, but Jacob is, I'm sorry, Abraham. Oh, not Abraham. Joseph was a descendant of Abraham. Okay. And so Joseph had a dream. His father was Jacob. All right. And Joseph was a dreamer. And so he can interpret the dreams, right? And so he had a dream one day. And so Joseph have lots of brothers. And so Joseph was his father's favorite, right? And so one day Joseph's father gave him a coat that was of beautiful, beautiful colors, right? And so it was like a badge of honor that he was the favorite kid. And so Joseph loved that coat, and he loved his dad, right? But his brothers were jealous of him. And so Ooh, Lord, yeah, I'm sorry. I think it's about to storm over here. So if my internet go out, that's what happened. I just seen a lot of wind just come out of nowhere and it started thundering. Okay. Um, but yes, Jacob was the son of Isaac. Thank you, sis. And Isaac was Abraham's child that he absolutely loved and he prayed for, right? So back to the story when it comes to Joseph. Joseph was the favorite of Jacob. And so the brothers knew it, and the brothers were jealous of Joseph. And so one day Joseph had a dream, and in that dream he talked about him being on top of his brothers, right? And his brothers and his father had to bow to him. And so the brothers was like, that ain't gonna ever happen. They was laughing at that, right? Like, who do you think you are to where you feel like we're gonna have to bow to you? And so, the dream was, he had the dream and they went on about their way. And then all of a sudden, one day they went out to go do something. I can't remember exactly what they went out to go do. And they ended up trying to come up with a scheme to hurt their brother. At first, they wanted to kill Joseph, right? But one of the brothers was like, nah, I don't think I can have that on my hands. Yeah, I don't think I can have his blood on my hands, right? And kill my brother. So let's just stuff him into this thing, right? And I'll come back for him. And so they stuffed him into a container, right? Thinking that he would be, well, they stuffed him in a container and they just wanted to have him rot, right? And they took his jacket back to his father with blood on it and said that he was eaten up by a wild animal. And so the brother that had the heart was like, nah, I can't let my brother go down like that, right? He came back looking for him. But when he came back looking for him, Joseph ended up being placed into slavery by the other brothers, right? And so Joseph was placed into slavery. And so when Joseph was placed into slavery, he could have been sour about it, but he wasn't. He went on to slavery and he just let the deck play out, right? The deck of cards play out. So once he went to prison, I'm sorry, not to prison, to slavery, he ended up working in the household for Pharaoh, right? And so when he ended up working with Pharaoh, he actually admired who he was. He thought that he was a very smart and intelligent person, and he had him in charge of things at his house. And so Pharaoh's wife was trying to get at Joseph, right? She was like, "You're a nice looking man, and she just kept trying to throw herself onto him. And so Joseph was like, you're the Pharaoh's wife. I can't go there. And so Joseph, he did what he needed to do, right? He stayed away from the wife. But the wife, one day the wife and Joseph were there where they were in a play in an area by themselves, and she tried to come on to him, and she was close enough to him where she was able to pull part of his garments that he had on, and he had a piece of that garment. And so he left out of the area, but the guard heard her screaming, and she was saying, Willie, could you stop, please? She was saying that she got raped. She said that Joseph had raped her, right? And so, of course, Pharaoh listened to his wife. He didn't even ask Joseph, what happened, and he threw Joseph in jail, right? So I bet you Joseph, like, I can't win for losing, right? First, my brothers didn't like me. My brothers threw me into slavery. And, I thought, I had a good thing with Pharaoh. And now Pharaoh's wife is accusing me of rape, and now I'm in jail, right? And so once he got into jail, things started to shift a little bit for him, right? Because Joseph was a great worker, right? He went to jail and he had favor in jail. Like everywhere that he went, he had favor no matter what the situation was. He had favor in jail. And so he was like a trustee in the prison. And so while he was in prison, they had some prisoners, right, that was in jail with him. One of them was the butler and the other was the baker, okay? And so the butler and the baker, they had dreams while they were in prison. And so, of course, they were in prison with Joseph. And they was like, what is it to this dream? I would like to know what this dream mean. And so Joseph was like, I can interpret the dream. And so he told both of them, one of the person in the dream, and I think it was the baker that he told in the dream, the baker was going to be reinstated and brought back into the home. And so, and he would get back into good graces with Pharaoh, right? In 3 days. And so that was his interpretation. And then the other one, right? Um, he was told that he was going to die and that birds will be eating his carcass, right? From off of the hanging cross, right? That's what he was told. And both of those things happened. And what he did was, when Joseph was in prison, after he interpreted those dreams and the baker went back to Pharaoh and be in a state, he told him to tell Pharaoh what he did, right? He told him to remember me when you go back to the palace, right? And so all of that happened. The baker went back to the palace. The butler, he ended up passing away. He died, right? But Pharaoh had a dream, and Pharaoh couldn't interpret the dream. He got some musicians, right? And some other people that were people that supposedly can interpret dreams, and they was not interpreting the dream. Okay. And so when they couldn't interpret, the baker was like, I remember Joseph when I was in jail. He interpreted the dream that I had and the butler had. And so he told Pharaoh about that. And Pharaoh was able to have Joseph come back to the palace, right? And Joseph interpreted the dream for him. And when Joseph interpreted the dream for him, the dream turned out to be about three fat calves, excuse me, not calves, three fat cows and three skinny cows. But all together, it was talking about there were going to be 7 years of prosperity and 7 years of famine. Okay. And so during the 7 years of famine, they needed to prepare for it. And God was giving them an opportunity to prepare for the famine. And because Joseph is a very wise guy and a very smart guy, he was able to get in good graces with Pharaoh, and he ended up being Pharaoh's right man. And so Joseph ended up plan to, one, make sure that they had everything that they needed to prepare for the 7 year famine. They were putting grain away, putting food away, putting things to the side so that they can prepare for the 7 years of famine. And so the dream actually absolutely came true, right? The prediction came true. And so during that time of prediction, what happened was it allowed Joseph, right, to be in a position where he could actually save his family, the same family that put him in the prison, well, not in prison, into slavery, the same family that tried to kill him, right? Now, Joseph, the original dream that Joseph had years ago, where he said that he would be on top of the brothers and the father, right? He would be rulers over them. It came into play, right? And so it all played out to where Joseph was able to save not only all of Egypt, right? And make the Pharaoh prosperous, because he was able to make him prosperous because they were the only ones that had food during the time of famine. And so, because they had food during the time of famine, they were able to, one, ration food out and get it from the people. I mean, sell it to the people. So the people that didn't have the opportunity to prepare for the famine, they were purchasing from Joseph and Pharaoh, and they were using their livestock. They were also purchasing their using their land, and they were selling themselves, right, as slaves so that they can stay alive during this time. And so all of that happened during the time of Joseph. And so the moral of the story is, let's talk about how your setup your, well, not really set up. Your downfall is a setup for where God wants to take you, right? How many times have you felt like something has happened in your life? It could be maybe you got laid off, maybe you went through a divorce, maybe you went through a bad situation, and you're like, why is this happening, or why did that happen? And so a lot of times, sometimes things have to happen in order for you to go where God wants to take you. And so just like Joseph, he had things happen to him back to back, right? He had the his brothers tried to kill him, put him into slavery. Then he also had where he was falsely accused for rape and he was put in a prison, right? All of those things happened, but it was a setup for where God had to take him. And so Joseph realized that. And so when his brothers actually came back to Egypt to actually get some food during the time of famine, they didn't even recognize their brother. They didn't recognize who he was. They thought he was dead, right? And so when they realized that it was Joseph, when Joseph um appeared to them and was like, it's me, right? And told them who he was, they thought that he was going to be upset and they thought that he was going to try to kill him and have revenge. But Joseph explained it was necessary. God had to put him in position so that he could not only save them, but also save the people of Egypt. And so Joseph understood that the things that he went through was necessary for his assignment that God had over his life. And so for us, we have to understand that the things that we go through, even though it could be the worst of the worst, they are necessary for where God wants to take us. You know, our trials and our tests that we go through, it's not about us, but it's about the assignment that's attached to the test and the testimony. It's about the people that's attached to the testimony so that they can understand that when they're going through something, that if she can come out of it and she can come on top and she can come out of it not, she can come out of the fire not smelling like smoke, then I can too, because God is not a respecter of people, right? If he did it for her, he can do it for me. If he did it for him, then he can do it for me. And so you have to understand that. And so I am really enjoying reading the Bible. Like, you know, growing up, of course, I went to church. And, you know, when we went to church, we heard the stories, but I've never really taken the time to dissect the Bible from beginning to the end. And it's just so refreshing. And just, you know, a lot of people like that was back in the day, but those same things that people went through back in the day, we experience those things now. And it's principles in the Bible for our life now. And so I just want to encourage you guys on this Winning Wednesday as I close this thing up. Know that God is always going to be on your side, right? He's always going to be there for you. And there's always going to be a time where you feel like God is not there. He's always there. He's always there, whether we think he's there or not. God just wants us to trust him. Joseph had to truly trust God. He had to trust God that, hey, I don't know why I'm going through these situations. I don't understand it, but I trust that you have something great for me. Because Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans not to harm you, right? But to prosper you for a hope in a future, right? And so just like God knew that he had a plan for Joseph. He has a plan for us as well. If God woke you up this morning, and if you're still here, and if you're watching this live or watching this replay, that means that God is not through with you yet. So no matter what storm it is that you're going through, no matter how rough the storm is, you are going to get through it, and you will get through it even better if you go through it with Jesus on your side, right? So if you don't know who God is and you don't know who Jesus is and you want to get to know him, then guess what? Pick up your Bible and start to read your Bible. Start to get to know who you are, whose you belong to, and what you have rights to, and the power that you have on the inside of you, right? We are created in the image of God. And so it's so much that we can do as children of the Most High. So I just want to encourage you guys on this Winning Wednesday, know that God is there for you and he has not forgotten about you, but you got to trust him. You know, I was listening to the song I Trust You the other day, And he was telling his testimony on, when he was going through, and he was like, God, did you forget about me? And he realized God didn't forget about him, and that what he was going through was a setup for where God was taking him. And so we have to understand that the things that we're going through, it might be bad, it might be the worst thing that you've ever been through, but I want you to go back in your life and think about what God has brought you out of. That you are not where you were 5 years ago. You're not where you were 10 years ago. And just like you've evolved over the time, over the years, then guess what? God is not going to leave you nor forsake you. And he hasn't forgot about you. And so he is still there to guide you. He is still there to help you along the way. You just have to trust him. You just have to trust God, right? So if this winning Wednesday blessed you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you put a one in the comments and share it with somebody. Sow a seed by sharing the broadcast, right? Because you never know who needs to be encouraged. You never know who needs to be inspired, and you never know who do not know Jesus, because not everybody know Jesus, right? And it is good to know Jesus. So I'm gonna hop off this thing because it is literally storming, y'all. But when I got on, it was not raining at all. But all of a sudden, it just started to storm, and I think it's hailing outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop off this thing. And oh, that's a great analogy. And just like it wasn't storming when I got on, but it's storming now, everything could be calm. And then boom, here comes a storm out of nowhere. But you got to know that as that storm come out of nowhere, you are a child of God. And God is going to carry you through the storm. It might be coming down hard now, but guess what? It's going to stop. And when it stops, you're going to be able to see the light. You're going to be able to see the end of the tunnel. And guess what? The only thing that you know for certain is that God brought you out, because he wants to get the glory for your story at the end of the day. It's not about what you did, but it's about what God did. And so every time the setup for the come up is all about God, because he don't want you to get the glory. He want him to get the glory, because he wanted to be where it's a nobody but God type of situation. Like nobody but God did it. And so you have to understand that, right? So I just encourage you guys to stand on faith, right? Be a lady of faith over fear. Be that lady of faith over fear. Like, okay, God, I don't know about what's going on. My children acting crazy. My husband acting crazy. The job is acting crazy. But guess what? I trust you. That is already done, right? Sister Serena, she did a intercessory prayer. She did the fast on earlier this week. I want to say maybe Tuesday, yesterday, or maybe Monday. I can't remember what day, but she was saying it's already done. The situations are already taken care of. We just have to receive that it's already done. We just have to wait for God's timing, for Kairos timing, not our timing, but God's timing. Everything happens on God's timing. He don't come when we want him to. He come on his time. So that's my spiel for tonight. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. If you're not following the broadcast on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe the channel on YouTube. If you're not in the community, make sure you go into the community. And I also went live on my personal Facebook page since I couldn't go live on my business in my community. Make sure you join the community, right? Remember, today is a great day to let your faith override your fear, start to operate in your greatness and operate in your purpose, because somebody is waiting on you to do the healing work so that you can heal and live the life that God has called you to live. Have an amazing night, you guys. And I'll talk to you guys next week, same place, same time. Have a great day.